Good morning. Thank you very much for the intro. It's really incredible what you can do with modern AI today. But it's also really incredible what you can't do with modern AI today. And I think it's even more incredible how much organizations struggle to separate the one from the other. Especially in the last few recent years of my AI consulting experience, I have seen both. I have seen organizations that really manage to leverage AI to unlock tremendous value, but I have also seen organizations that really struggle to make their first steps because they approach AI just from the wrong way. So that's why today I've brought two goals for you. First, I want you to understand how to use AI to grow and innovate your business. And secondly, I want you to avoid the biggest pitfalls so you can be one of those organizations that knows how to use and leverage AI. And in order to do that, I have two parts. Today, we will take a look at how not to do it, how to fail with AI, what are the anti-patterns. And then after that, we will switch gears and obviously take a look at how we can succeed with AI, how we can actually drive innovation and business growth. And for the first part, how to fail with AI, I would like to invite you to join me for a quick thought experiment. So imagine you're the CEO of a mid-sized established healthcare company, and you're attending a conference, maybe a conference like this one. And in every talk, you hear AI. There is software with AI, there are databases with AI, there are even some people that seem to have some AI in them or so. But you also talk to some of your competitors, and even some of your competitors who not really have even a decent website, they tell you, hey, we just launched our first AI prototype last week. And you think to yourself, damn, maybe I should take a look at this AI topic as well. And if you're at this stage, then you qualify for phase number one. And phase number one is you are AI aware. If you're in phase number one, you will get more sensitive for statistics like these, for example, published by OpenAI to promote their ChatGPT software, saying that people that use ChatGPT, they complete 12% more tasks, they complete this task 25% faster, and also they deliver 40% higher quality results. And obviously, these are results that you can't just leave on the table. Like, this is obviously some business potential for you to unlock. So what do? Well, your job as a manager is to solve problems. And what you're going to do now is you solve problems with AI. Or even better, you let AI solve problems for you. And especially these digital problems that you have in your organization. Take, for example, here, your marketing dashboard. The marketing dashboard that hardly anyone looks at and that has all these strange numbers that totally don't make any sense. Well, AI is here to help you, right? Or maybe your online marketing, the online marketing that is subperforming and only driving in like low-quality leads. AI is here to help you with that. But you're not only really limited for the digital space. You will also use AI for more physical products. So let's imagine you're in a manufacturing business and you struggle with product quality of the things that you manufacture. Or maybe you have issues in your supply chain. Well, you guess it, probably there's an AI for that to help you out. So AI, AI, AI. You see AI everywhere, and it's really the savior of your business to help you in any case. You have identified successfully the silver bullet to help you with your business, and if you're at this stage, you qualify for phase number two. And phase number two is you're all hyped up for AI. So in phase number two, and that's the special thing, talk is really cheap. In phase number two, it's time to finally take action. And to take action means, because we're executives, we want to execute. That means we want to launch our first AI project. So what do? There's one thing though, because AI, that sounds a little bit technical. And also technical, that sounds a little bit complex and complicated. So what do we do with technical and complex things? Of course, we hand it over to IT. Because the IT folks, these are the ones that take care for technical and complex things, right? So we just give AI over to them, and we hope they figure them out. But okay, we get it, right? So AI is not really just another database. Like, we understand that. So we need some more specialized expertise in our IT department to really handle our AI initiative. So who could that be? Who could really be a good candidate that drives our AI initiative forward? And we are thinking, and there was this job role, this job offer that we had a couple of years back in our organization, and maybe we still have that person inside our organization. Do you remember that? The data scientist, the sexiest job of the 21st century. If you are lucky, you still have some of those people in your organization that need something to do. If not, you just hire one, right? So you hire good data scientists from the market to drive your AI initiative in your IT department, and you're really excited and lucky about that. And after you onboard them, after the first couple of weeks, you do an initial meeting, you meet with your data scientist, your IT department, some other managers, and you think to yourself, well, how do we now kick off our AI project? How do we kick off our AI initiatives? And there are like a couple of good suggestions there in this meeting. Some people say, hey, let's hire a consultant. Hiring consultants is always good. Or even better, buy some software. Buying software is always good. Or lastly, maybe the data scientist, he suggests to you that you might hire some more people because it seems to be quite a big role and big job here to do just for one single person. But of course, you can't just hire more people. You just have hired your data scientist, and you don't know what to hire for. There's no business case yet, so you don't hire people. So what do you do instead? Yes, you buy your data scientist a bunch of books. Because if they have a bunch of books, they can read all stuff up, and they will get expert in AI in no time. And secretly, you think maybe you actually hired a biologist if you look at these books. But anyway, so you buy these books for your data scientist. Then your data scientist takes these books, and you have heard some time ago that if you have these experts, sometimes they just need time to figure things out. So what you do is you give them the books, and you let them take some time. The data scientist now needs time to figure everything out, to learn what AI is, to create their first AI project, to make a concept, a roadmap, a strategy. So after some time, and it depends on your organization. If you're a small organization, you're lucky if that happens after 3 months. If you're a larger organization, that could be after 1 year. Anyway, after some time, you check in with your data scientist to check in on the progress, and this is phase number 3. You're in the we are figuring it out stage, and this is how your data scientist looks like when you check in with them. The data scientist explains a ton of things to you that you don't understand. The only words that you hear are data management and data quality and resources and business plans, and you have no idea what these guys are talking about. And you think to yourself, man, what have I myself gotten into here? But you know what, data scientists, they are really enthusiastic people, and very often they also want to prove themselves. So what they do is they show you a thing which they call a Jupyter notebook. A Jupyter notebook. And in this Jupyter notebook, there's a ton of stuff that doesn't make any sense to you, but there are a lot of graphs and data and stuff and so on. But you start thinking to yourself, well, maybe there is actually progress here. Maybe we're actually making progress. The data scientist seems to be smart. He's working on something. So maybe we need just to give this whole thing a little bit more time. So you give this whole project a little bit more time, hopefully that your data scientist comes up with a new solution, that he comes back to you with some improvements, some suggestions on how to drive the project forward. And luckily, there will be a point when the data scientist comes back to you. Because at some point, out of the blue, you will get something from your data scientist. And this is what you get from your data scientist. The resignation letter. The data scientist tells you, hey, super happy for the opportunity and everything that they learned, but they found another opportunity somewhere else, and the grass is always greener on the other side, and so on and so forth. So data scientist leaves your company the next quarter, and this is how your AI project looks like right now. There's no owner, there's no documentation, there is no clue what you are going to do next. And also there's no lesson learned, except there's only one lesson that you really learned out of that, which is, I'm never doing this ever again. Well, unless the next hype cycle comes, or maybe the new manager comes in, right? But otherwise, you're done with this whole AI topic. And sadly, this is the story that I have seen over and over again. And it always comes back to the same patterns and the same repeated mistakes that people make. It starts with a cycle of overhyped expectations, undelivered results that are then driven by a lack of clear objectives and inadequate investment with poor integration into the business. So please, don't do that. So the big question now, of course, is what do we do instead? And this is where I would like to introduce you to the process that you should take in order to drive AI initiatives successfully in your business. And the good news here is that it's actually not that hard. Well, it's hard to execute that, but the steps that you need to take for this are actually really simple. And it ultimately boils down to 6 steps that you need to follow in order to bring your first AI project to life in your organization. And I will now quickly walk you through these 6 steps so you can take them away after the session and kick off your first AI project. And the first step really is understanding AI. And I'm really sorry here to crush some beliefs that you can just hand over AI to IT and you don't have to deal with that. No, we are really in that transformative phase where you need to understand, even as an executive, as a manager, understand AI, what it is on a high level. And I'm not telling you that you need to become an AI expert or AI engineer, but you should have a general feeling of what AI is, similar to that you don't need to be an electrician to know that you don't put your finger into the socket, right? That's the kind of level we want to have an understanding for AI. And in order to show you that it doesn't have to be that complex and complicated, I'm going to walk you through a 5-minute crash course on what AI is in the next 5 minutes. So it all starts with recognizing that AI is actually not really that new. Who in that room here knows Alan Turing? Has heard about that? Great. So you already know the time when AI was more or less invented. It dates back to the 1950s. And since then, there have been 2 big streams of research. And the first big stream of research is general AI, also called sometimes strong AI or general artificial intelligence. These are AI systems that are being designed to solve any given problem that they see. Well, this is a big research area, and some people, including tech entrepreneurs that build rockets and electric cars, think we have that next year. But there are also a lot of other people that say, well, we're not sure if we're ever going to get there in the next decade or anyway. So this is an area where I would say don't focus too much on that, you can't influence it anyway. What is even more important, or especially more important for you, is narrow AI. Narrow AI is an AI technology or a field of applied AI research that aims to solve a specific task, a specific problem that this system has been trained on. And every technology, every business use case for AI that we see currently in the market is an example of this narrow AI stream. So let's dive a little bit deeper into narrow AI. If we dive deeper into narrow AI, we will realize that everything that we do right now in narrow AI has been driven by a technology called machine learning. And without getting too technical here, machine learning essentially is pattern recognition in historical data. That's what it boils down to. And then recognizing these patterns and exploiting them for the particular purpose that you want to try to solve. For example, find patterns in customer acquisition or find patterns in marketing strategies that work, finding these patterns in historical data. That's what machine learning is all about. And now diving deeper, we have deep learning, which is just a fancy way of doing machine learning really on more data, so don't worry too much about that. But if you have these 4 levels, you have now unlocked the 5 core AI archetypes of things that you can do with AI in your business. And I like to structure these AI archetypes based on the data types they work with, and I will quickly walk you through them, because after that you will have a broad understanding of what actually AI is and what you can do with that. The first one is supervised machine learning. And supervised machine learning really is predicting a column in a tabular data set. That's a simple way how you can explain that. But it's a super powerful use case, especially in business. Especially before generative AI, supervised machine learning on tabular data has been the go-to approach, and still is the go-to approach for so many different business cases. For time series forecasting, recommendation engines, or literally any time you want to predict a numeric value or a variable in a tabular data set, where there are tons of in a typical business. The second big AI archetype is computer vision, essentially letting computers see images in a similar way that humans see and understand these images. Obviously, autonomous driving is here a good example of the application area of that. Then we have natural language processing. Natural language processing is AI applied on text, so we let computers understand and interpret text in a similar way that we as humans interpret these texts. And then we have audio and speech, which essentially is taking text and turning that into audio, or audio back into text. There are other examples for that, but these are the most critical for business. And then finally, and only now, we have the area where all the hype is at the moment, which is generative AI. And generative AI really boils down to taking existing content, analyzing patterns in that existing content, and generating new content from these patterns. And because this is such a hype topic right now, I want to do a quick deep dive into generative AI and what you can do with that. So let's take a look at generative AI. As you can see, generative AI really is just a subset of narrow AI, of machine learning, of deep learning applied to generate new content. And the important thing here is to understand when generative AI creates content, it doesn't have the semantic understanding of the content that it creates, similar that we as humans do. It just generates these contents because it's machine learning based on historical patterns it has seen in data. So it can't do anything which it has never seen before in data. In the end, it can produce new things and make up some new stuff, but it does not really understand what it's doing. And if we now zoom even a little bit deeper into generative AI, we have large language models kicked off by BERT here in 2019 by Google, which is essentially just generative AI for generating text. That's as easy as it is. These are large language models. Take any data type that you have, but you generate text. And then we have the technology called generative pre-trained transformers, which is just a way, an architecture of training or building these large language models that led to the development, for example, of GPT-4, the largest and most capable large language model right now out there on the market by OpenAI. And then finally, we have ChatGPT as kind of the application layer to interact with these systems. So, and there you have it. This is like, in a nutshell, all the AI terminology that you need, and you can now go deeper here if you want to. And you might wonder, well, why do I need to care that, for example, GPT-4 is built on the generative pre-trained transformers, and this is a large language model? Well, because this gives you the inherent limitations of that technology. For example, by knowing that ChatGPT is built on GPT-4, you know that the transformer architecture has some inherent limitations. For example, it's not able to do any math. It's text completion. Large language models essentially are text completion. They can't do any numeric calculations. They just predict the next token. The other big thing is, with the transformer architecture, there's no concept of truth. These models don't understand what is true or what's not true. They just look at historical distribution of data. That's what it is. And then thirdly, which is also super important, this technology is not able to produce deterministic outputs. That means if you want to have a prediction or next word completion for the same text 10,000 times, it might be that you get 10,000 different results. Depending on how you tune the model, you can get this reliability a little bit up, but in the end, the core goal of large language models is to create original new content, and this will always give you some variation. And this is a fundamental different paradigm compared to, for example, supervised machine learning, where you train a static model, and every time you give in the same data, you get the same output. And this essentially dictates what kind of use cases you should do with this technology and which use cases you should not do. If you have creative use cases, great. If you have summarization use cases, great. If you want to do mathematics or have some fact-finding machines, please don't use ChatGPT for this. And everyone who has asked ChatGPT for a very simple math equation knows what I'm talking about. So this is essentially the nutshell here. But if this was too fast, feel free to check out this article which I wrote that kind of like explains everything also in a bit more detail, and you can dive deeper if you want. Okay, so now that we have this general understanding of, oh, sorry. Now the article was too quick, right? So there you go. All right. So now that we have this high-level understanding of what AI is, we can now actually apply it to our business. And first of all, I recommend to start with things that you're already doing. Don't try to kick off your AI journey with starting to innovate the next best product or the next best innovation in your business. Try to do stuff that you're already doing and try to improve that. So that means looking at the processes that you currently run and identify pain points and bottlenecks. I'll give you an example of what that is. For example, take this sales process example here. Very high level, very broken down into generic steps. For example, you have lead generation, lead qualification, product demo, closing, account management. Let's say that's our hypothetical sales process on a high level. We can now look for pain points. These are current problems in this process, and bottlenecks. These are things that limit or hinder future growth in this process. And to make it a little bit more concrete, I have just mapped that out to every step of this process. For example, hypothetically, we could say that, okay, for lead generation, one of the pain points that we currently have is that our contact data or our lead data is just like too old or it's just not complete. We have data quality issues in lead generation, which leads to like a bad sales process experience after that. A bottleneck, on the other hand side, might be that we recognize that our product is really hard to differentiate from other products and competitors on the market. Right now, this still works out, but as the market matures, we will hit a bottleneck because we can't really differentiate our offering from other ones. So these are two examples of a pain point and a bottleneck in the current process. And you map these out over your process steps, And once you have that, you can map AI capabilities to these things. And yeah, quick disclaimer here, and also quick heads up, this is the probably most difficult stage of the whole process. And if you want to hire some AI expertise, I recommend to do this in this step. If you want to map AI capabilities to the problems that you have, like it's fine to get someone from outside and help you with that. For example, there's a methodology called the AI design sprint, where you do a 1 or 2 day workshop to figure out what could be the exact AI capabilities and technologies that you can use in order to support the problems and pain points in the process that you have. Or if you really want to do a quick hack, what I also often like to do, you can also choose a much more simpler approach, which is just something like that. Just drop a simple table where you say every column in this table is one of the AI archetypes that you just learned, like supervised machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing, and so on. And then each row is one step of the process that you're currently looking at. And then just fill out this table and say, how could this technology potentially help me on a really, really high level to solve this problem? And the goal of this exercise is to find 2 things. You will find columns, these are technologies which are not relevant for your business or for this current business process because there isn't really a good application area for that. And you will find rows, for example, the first one here, lead generation, where almost every AI technology could be relevant. And this helps you to scope out at first what could be good use case areas for me to dive deeper into. And once you have this high-level overview, then obviously the next step is to really formulate and analyze your use cases. And also you don't have to overcomplicate things. What I typically like is take one use case, one PowerPoint slide, and then come up with a very simple framework, what I call a use case fact sheet. So let's say you have this process step, you narrow down maybe 10 areas of potential application areas for AI, and then for every of these 10 areas, you just write down what's the problem that I'm solving, what's the value dimension here, like how will this help me to solve a pain point or to solve a bottleneck? What's the solution dimension? How am I actually trying to tackle this? What kind of AI technology am I going to use? And what's the data dimension? What data do I need? Do I actually need any data? For some ChatGPT cases, you don't really need any data at all. You can just get started with that. And then you also list down some stakeholders' resources, and if you can, an initial assessment of feasibility. But don't worry about feasibility so much at this stage. This is just how a use case fact sheet could look like. And once you have these use case fact sheets, I give you another tip. If you fill in these use case fact sheets, make sure, and we also have seen that in the other presentations, not only today, but also yesterday, look for so-called augmented use cases. Augmented use cases are projects or solutions where you always have a human not only in the loop, but a human in the lead. What does it mean? Try to look for use cases that have a very low degree of automation and a very low degree of integration in your system environment. ChatGPT is the perfect example. If you don't copy-paste anything in there, nothing will happen. And also, if you, it also has no connection to your business, just a standalone thing which you can just like buy as a subscription. Or Microsoft Copilot would be an example of the higher integrated but still lower automated version of that. This is all an augmented use case. Don't start with your first AI project to get this super highly automated customer chatbot which is integrated on your website and to all your source system off the ground from the start. Like, this is really a recipe for failure. Try to start with these augmented use cases, make your first experiences, and then try to scale them up as you go and as you prove that these business use cases actually deliver the value that you expected from them. And now it's step 5, prioritize and prototype. And the way I like to do this is to come up with a use case prioritization matrix. And prioritizing use cases is always hard because you don't really know what's the business value here and what's the feasibility. But as long as you have a look at one single process, and that's what I really always recommend you to do, as long as you look at one single process and you have a list of maybe 10 use cases inside that process, just rank them. Rank them by expected feasibility and rank them by expected business outcome. And if you do that, you will find that quadrant there in the upper right corner where you have like the top third of the highest impact use cases and the top third of the highest feasible use cases. And if you have these like top 3 use cases in that area, do a final check for prototypability. And prototypability is what I call atomic AI use cases. That means in order to prototype the first version of your use case, you should follow the 20-20 rule, which means the first iteration should not take longer than 20 working days, and it should not cost more than 20K. Because if it's much higher than that, chances are that you are either trying to build a super highly integrated or automated use case, or that the scope of the use case is just too high. If you're in that realm, according to my experience, it's a very good niche to get started in and to make really lots of small and quick iterations. Because the overall goal here is obviously to think big, but you want to start small. You want to start small and small increments and small iterations and just get into the experimentation mode that we just learned. So for example, let's say our example would be that we say we have a problem in our sales process. Our salespeople are spending way too much time preparing for their calls. Before they call any prospect, they will take some time to look up on the internet and read the Wikipedia article of that company and also scroll their own CRM to find the right contact version of that. We could simply spin up a simple chatbot so the salesperson could just ask some generic question like, do we still have this company as a customer, or what is the revenue of that company, and this chatbot is connected to the CRM and then also maybe to some external data that helps to surface the initial information. So this could be an example which you can prototype according to the 2020 rule with generative AI, if this was a pain point of yours. So now step 6, and this is like the most important point, I would say, of the whole process. And there is a famous philosopher who once said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And this is 100% true for generative AI and AI in general, because we have to realize AI projects are essentially software projects, and software projects that deal with a very high amount of data. So there's so much uncertainty involved. It's super hard to plan these things. Of course, you should have a high-level understanding of what you're trying to solve and what's the feasibility, but you really don't know until you start building that. So you need to have a high-level plan, that's fine, but also be open to change. Design these projects as agile IT projects. Try to deliver and ship in a lot of small incremental steps. And I mean, I'm just saying that, deliver in small incremental steps and try all these projects and so on. But truth is, for most organizations, that's really a huge part of a change process. Because if you don't only want to do that with one single use case, but with lots of use cases at scale in your organization, you're not talking about an AI project anymore, you're talking about a transformation project in your organization. Because in order to pull that off, you need to make sure that your leadership is aligned. You need to make sure that you have a cultural transformation program in place. You need to make sure that everyone is ready to adopt this agile mindset and shipping the incremental, the increments of your AI solution, or generally software artifacts in your organization. If your organization is already at that point of continuous integration, continuous delivery, agile development, then that's great. But according to my experience, a lot of companies are not there yet. It's very hard to bring them on that journey. So take your AI initiative, start small, maybe in a single department. Don't try to start with a big bang at the beginning, but once you have the first wins under your belt, think about that transformational experience that you can actually bring to your whole company. So to recap, these are the 6 steps that you should take. First of all, invest some time to learn AI. And again, don't lock yourself away for 3 months to learn everything about AI. Maybe spend 1 hour per week reading either a newsletter or taking part in a course or talking to peers, or maybe getting hands-on and trying out something with ChatGPT or anything else, but try to learn AI and understand the fundamental concepts of that. And then second step is to identify pain points and bottlenecks in your business, current problems and future problems, map these AI capabilities with expert help if you like, analyze your use cases, prioritize and prototype, and then go iterate and improve ideally over the whole organization. And this, my CEO friends, is how you grow and innovate with AI. And I hope you enjoyed this process, and if you want to more, I invite you to join my newsletter or reach out anytime, and otherwise, I really thank you for the attention and good luck on your AI journey. Thank you.